Hi everyone, so today I'm back with another lip swatch video, and as you can see on my lips, this beautiful mauvey kind of bold fall vibe lip is actually inspired by Rouge Magique from L'Oreal, and they basically invited me to their press event and I got the 20 shades of their Rouge Magique lipsticks that are coming out really soon to every drugstore near you. And when I mean every drugstore, Watson's, Guardian, everywhere is going to be available. And why I am so excited for this is because all these shades, as you can see in this diagram, they're basically super inspired by all these trendy shades that are now, overwhelming social media, and it's just super prevalent in many makeup brands and also just basically a lot more high-end brands that are carrying these type of shades. And L'Oreal has kind of formulated their own take on this and put them into a full lipstick collection line, which is now available to the everyday consumer that can access it not just at high-end places but your typical drugstore. So I have 20 shades to go through, and if you guys want to see how these translate on the lips, then just keep on watching. Okay, so that's basically all the 20 swatches that I did of the new L'Oreal Rouge Magique lipsticks that are coming out really soon to Singapore drugstores. As you can see here, I have a whole vault, and L'Oreal is really kind to invite me for their press event for their launches in the second quarter or the second half of the year. But basically what is happening is that they are releasing a new line of lipsticks called Rouge Magique, inspired by really trendy colours in the market that you typically can get for higher end brands like Urban Decay or NARS, those really fall vibes, and they're basically just translating all these trendy shades into a lipstick line where you can get it at the drugstore. So as you saw in all the lip swatches that I did, I really like all of them in terms of like colour selection. I personally think that they really primarily spent a lot of time thinking about the colours and what would suit Asian women, or you know, just women of every single ethnicity. I think that this shade I'm wearing now, which is 904, I assume, it basically has a very nice warm undertone with a greyish kick to it, which is like a super trendy colour you don't typically come across in the drugstore. And basically this will look good on a woman of a deeper, darker skin tone, or you know, someone who's way lighter than me. It will just translate to different things, but it will still look good on every woman. I think that colour shade selection aside, because at the end of this short review I'll just put up a couple of my favourite shades here, I'm going to talk about the formulation. The formulation is supposedly a really comfortable matte finish, and as you can see on my lips there's no traces of a shine, and it basically is that kind of super comfortable and long wear type formula that doesn't dry out your lips. Upon application, I think that it applies really creamy and it doesn't drag on dry patches. It is a lot more hydrating than your typical matte lipstick, but to be frank, I think that this formulation can afford to be a little bit more buttery while letting it be able to set to a matte finish after a while. Why I say that is because the bullet itself, if you guys can see in the close-ups, it is not the most pointed. It's actually a little bit blunt, so you do have to apply a lip liner underneath if you want a very precise lip line. It kind of feathers around the edges because the formulation is a little bit mattifying, so it isn't a very smooth curvature around the lips. I find that getting the inner corners, I tend to just slightly overline the lips because I can't get into the corner. The bullet's a little bit thick. Comparing this to, let's say, a MAC lipstick, I find that MAC lipsticks glide over the lips really well and they don't feather around the edges. It makes you look like you have a very precise lip line, but these are, for what it is, a drugstore product, is super good. I think that pigmentation wise, you can sheer it out. First application, it applies a bit sheer, but they are buildable to an intense finish. I think that if you do it in a single swatch on your hand, you might not be able to tell the full intensity of the colour. You might want to go over with a few swatches on your wrist so that you can see how pigmented these can get. The whole collection, all these 20 shades, do differ a little bit in terms of its pigmentation. It's not consistent throughout, which is unfortunate because you would want any of these shades to be equally pigmented to the other, but some of them perform a little bit different. For instance, if I show you a really deep dark shade like this one that I have here, it looks really intense and finished, but on the lips it translates a little bit more sheer. It's not super pigmented, so it's not as scary for the typical user. But I find that if you're a makeup addict, or if you're someone who really likes lipsticks and you're looking for that super deep and vampy shade, perhaps this line would require an additional step, which would be a lip line underneath and then applying these on top, because it's not the most pigmented. It kind of is just suited to people who are trying out these trendy colours for the first time. So I think that that is one thing to note when you're trying this. And if you are typically a person who really likes lipsticks and you are looking for something that is just excellent in pigmentation, applies like a dream, doesn't drag on the lips, most long wearing formula, I would say don't expect too much from these. But at the same time, I think that it is super good for people who want to try out, you know, like these kind of shades that you honestly will not get anywhere else from any other brand in the drugstore. So yeah, that's my really short and brief review. If you guys want to see my prolonged thoughts, the pros and cons and that kind of thing, I'll try to summarize some of those bullet points in the description box. But overall, I just think that this line is really beautiful, and my favorite shades from the line, I will leave it here. and yeah, they basically are the ones that I think are just super trendy and that they look good on my skin tone, which is an NC 20 to 25, typically regular Chinese kind of skin complexion. So yeah, that's all I really have to say about this line. If you guys have any questions, do leave it down below. Don't forget to like and subscribe and share this video with your family and friends. So with that, I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye!